I don't care about 17 special teams games in 2027. I don't care about that if I'm the Eagles. I'm in the Les Snead mode of F them picks. Go get another one.
Blaze says Nolan and Phillips are both good at setting the edge and pursuing the run. This will help our D much more than just a dominant pass rusher.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Jaylen is not known for setting the edge.
I did see somebody put out a statistic about him being good against the run. Now that might be different than setting the edge, but
yeah, I don't know who put that out, but no, that is not the book on Jaelan Phillips. Interesting this year. The interesting thing about this year, Miami was using him inside as a pass rusher, an obvious pass rushing situations, which was a change. But the Eagles don't do that. They don't need that. So I don't see that. But it's just another card to put in the deck. This year he's 18th of 107 when it comes to the pass rush, 96 of 117 when it comes to setting the edge, run support. But you know where this fits in, which I think a lot of people don't realize, no matter how many times I bring it up, and Vic has said this on multiple occasions, Alex Hunt is better in run support than he is as a pass rusher at this stage of his career, which I don't think anybody saw coming, even Vic. But when he had to play last year, he was very impressed with how he held up in run support. Still needs a lot of work, still needs a lot of sharpening when it comes to technique and fundamentals on the pass rush. So you can envision where Alex is the early down player and Jaelan Phillips comes in as the pass rusher. And Vic can work it that way, which I think is eventually how it will unfold. And that helps you in two fronts. It lightens the load on both of them. So you don't have somebody out there playing Max Crosby numbers as far as playing time and snap counts. And Jaylen does have a significant injury history. So you want to somewhat limit his snaps. And if you work it that way, you'll be able to do it. And so you have Nolan, Jalix, if Nolan comes back, and Brandon Graham, who are really good run support players. I don't think Jalix is as good as Nolan or Brandon. And we'll see what Brandon has left. We got to see. And then you have two really good pass rushers in Phillips and Uche. And plus, Nolan can do both. You might really have something cooking if you work it that way. But no, he's not known for his run support. It's a pass rush.
So do you think Nolan's still the top guy then in that room because of his ability to do both?
Well, depends how you want to grade it. But no, I think
if Nolan's going to be your every down guy and Jaylen and Jalix are rotating with Jalix setting the edge early and Jaelan Phillips, on third down and long, doesn't that kind of show you that Nolan would be the main guy in the room?
Well, it depends on your definition. I mean, if Jaelan Phillips comes here and gets 10 sacks, he's the impact guy. He's the headliner.
Well, he did have a good season with Vic Fangio, John. He had 8 games, 6.5 sacks, 43 tackles, 1 int, and 2 pass breakups with Fangio in those 8 games before he got hurt.
If you're talking about who plays the most, just that's your definition. Well, yeah, I don't think it's going to be Phillips. I think it's going to be Smith if he's healthy, or Hunt, because I think they'll be early down players, and one of them's got to play third down as well. Hopefully that would be Nolan, but I got to see if Nolan can get back. So I don't think he's going to be the top guy from a playing snap perspective, Jaelan Phillips, but I think he's going to be the top guy from an impact perspective in the pass rush.
Blaze, good stuff. Appreciate it. That kind of started us on the conversation with Jaelan Phillips and kind of what the usage is in the offense. I guess a big piece of the puzzle, John. If we can just envision or speculate that Nolan won't be back for Green Bay, what do you think it would look like with the pass rush?
Well, it's also early with Phillips, but I do think they're going to put him out there because of his history with Vic, because he's, but they'll ramp him up. They won't be at his full optimum level. And, they've been working with 3 essentially, and some Jihad Campbell getting the overlap snaps. So, they have been working with Alex Hunt and Josh Uche and Patrick Johnson. And now you have Brandon back in the mix and Jaelan Phillips. So, but if he's not there for Green Bay, yeah, I think it'll be those 5 guys. And Jihad, unfortunately, which is a conversation we have to have. I don't see any reps for him now that you've repopulated the position, and it's only going to get deeper if Nolan does get back when Nolan gets back. So that's a concern. But, Patrick Johnson would sort of be the one that, goes back to special teams. And it'll be Hunt, it'll be Uche, it'll be Graham, it'll be Phillips.
So what is the outlook for Jihad Campbell right now?
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't. That's the one thing I don't like, which I've said pretty consistently.
Yeah.
I think he's going to play in nickel, and that's it. Nickel linebacker. N'Kobe handles the base, so a lot of it depends on.
Will Vic want that? Will Vic be okay with changing? With the rotational linebacker like that?
Well, he's the one doing it, so I guess he's okay with it.
I mean, there's obviously some downsides to it, but
well, he doesn't like it. He said it's not a rotational position, but he wants to get N'Kobe on the field. He loves him. I love him. What's not to love? But I just love Jihad Campbell a little bit more. And I don't think he did anything to merit limited play. If I were Vic, and I know fans don't want that, but if I were Vic and I wanted to go that route, I would have waited till he had a bad game. He's probably going to have a bad game. I mean, superstars have bad games. He's a rookie. He's going to have a bad game. But I would have waited for that bad game. I haven't seen that. And now it's already limited, and his playing time's already limited, and now it's going to be curbed even more now that you take away the edge snaps and edge opportunities, where, by the way, he hasn't been playing well on the edge. He's not ready to play on the edge. Shouldn't be playing on the edge. I have no problem with that. But at off-ball linebacker, dude was playing lights out. So, but good problem to have, as they say.
Is it as simple as they want to stop the run better with N'Kobe Dean on the field?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of it. Yeah. And they want to try to piecemeal it because Jihad's a better athlete and better in pass coverage. But, he was also making plays in other aspects of the game. And he's great sort of mismatch when you do want to blitz from the second level, especially when paired with Zach Bond. So, I mean, they have a good player either way. I just think he's got a chance to be a superstar, and I don't want to derail that. But, coaches tend to be more comfortable with veteran players. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but doesn't that kind of fit into what you've been saying? Like this team is looking to win. They're not They can't look to 26 and 27. Jihad Campbell is obviously the future.
Well,
of the team.
That's a big difference than guys who've been here in the spring and summer and have learned and have started for 8 games and gotten you in the position that you're in, not only Campbell, but Makuba for, for a certain extent. But Campbell's played much better at his position than Makuba's played at his position. Like he's already proven some things, or he should have proven some things. He's not coming in from another situation. He's been here the whole time. And look, if the Eagles didn't have Nakobe Dean, he'd be playing. But they happen to have another good linebacker.
Yeah, right.
You know,
That's why I kind of just default on Kobe, because I trust Vic. I mean, how am I gonna tell Vic he's wrong about what linebacker he's playing?
well, yeah, that's my job, and you got to stand up to even the best coaches, because nobody's perfect and nobody gets it 100%. And I
Yeah,
do
that's
the
fair.
same thing with Howie. When everybody wants to give Howie's flowers, I give Howie's flowers when he deserves it, and when he doesn't, I tell people, "Hey, tone it down a little bit. It's not that big of a deal." But
Well,
yeah,
there's a chance you're wrong on Dean and Campbell.
there's a chance I'm wrong. There's a chance they're wrong.
Yeah,
But that's
absolutely.
what I'm here to do, is give my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my opinion. No,
I'm not mad at you for your opinion. I'm just throwing out, my thought process.
you can go back to the Jody days, and I love Nakobe Dean, and not as much as Jody, but I love the player. But there's a difference between Nakobe Dean and Jahad Campbell when it comes to upside. And
Yeah, well, that I definitely agree with.
Jahad Campbell was showing that he could get to his upside pretty damn quickly. And I personally would not want to derail that. Now, to the point about Fitzpatrick, if Fitzpatrick was here already, yeah, I'm not playing Bakuba. I'll tell you that. But that ain't close. Campbell is played better than Nakobe in his time at off ball. So to me, it's different.
Yeah, and he's obviously really good in coverage too, Jahad Campbell. I don't know how Nakobe Dean is in coverage right now, or grading out in coverage. I know that's not the end all be all, but it is still a metric that's used. Yeah, I mean, it looks like right now, Jahad's much better in coverage. So is that really what it comes down to for you? The upside of the player and coverage and all those other versatile aspects of being a linebacker?
Well, no, he can do everything. I mean, he's a pain in the ass, but also his size, just as people were bringing up Shaq Leonard because he was here at the end of his career as a trade that didn't work out. Because he had back surgery and he was shot physically. But in his prime, he was the best linebacker in football. The best. I mean, number one. Very similar to Jair Alexander at corner. And that's why some people were bringing it up. It happens quickly in the NFL. So Shaq Leonard was just phenomenal for years. And one of his strengths was he was 6'2", and he was this big, just long pain in the ass that you couldn't get the football around in coverage. Because his wingspan was so big and he was so athletic. And, as I said, I think it was a 4-time All-Pro, yada, yada, yada. It was, for a long stretch, he was the best linebacker in football. That's what I see the upside for Jahad Campbell. Same body type, just a pain in the ass. Quarterbacks cannot get the football around them. And then they just overwhelm running backs in pass protection if you want to blitz them. We talked about, Detroit losing. Jahmyr Gibbs probably had his worst game in his professional year because they went after him in pass protection. They just cross-dog blitzed him all freaking afternoon. Couldn't hold up. That's what you can do with Bond and Campbell if you wanted to. Just creates mismatches because of his size and his athleticism, his length. I mean, that's the guy I'm trading people to get him on the field if I couldn't get him on the field. and they're taking him off the field. It looks that way. I don't agree with it. I will die on that hill.
Well, based on how Jahad Campbell has started his career, it doesn't look like you're wrong, but I do think Nakobe, I don't know. Eye test to me tells me Nakobe's done a good job on the defense as well. It's kind of one of those things where, I don't know, pick your poison, I guess you could say. I mean, I don't think you're going wrong either way, to be honest with you, John.
Yeah, well, I think you got the next Shaq Leonard, so I'm gonna respectfully disagree.
Yeah, but if he's not there right now, I mean, what does that do for the 25 season?
No evidence that he wasn't. Then wait for the bad game because he hasn't had it yet at linebacker.
No, he hasn't. Blaze says Nolan and Phillips can both drop in the flats. Does Vic make Phillips just a pure pass rusher and let Nolan drop sometimes, or do they both do it?
Yeah, I was talking. Well, everybody does it. Number one, in Vic, the question is not that did they do it effectively? That's the question. Everybody does it in Vic's, and anybody. That's one of my pet peeves too. Like everybody can line up anywhere. Everybody can. Can they do it effectively? Vic is going to drop his edge rushers, every single one of them, at times. Some do it better than others, to say the least. I have a friend who covers the Dolphins who says it was not a strength of Phillips when he was there, when Vic was there. But we'll talk to Vic at some point. I don't think we're going to get him this week. I think he's about the pass rush. I think forget about the other stuff. He's about the pass. He's here to rush the passer. That doesn't mean he doesn't have to be acceptable as a run support player. Acceptable dropping in the flats, but I wouldn't focus on that. He's here to rush the passer. That's his job. And I think he's going to do it well.
Blaze, good stuff. Appreciate it, brother. Here's Christopher Michael. Looking way ahead. If Phillips pans out and we re-sign him to a long-term deal, do we focus on the O-line in the draft early as well as corner? I think you're going to have to get a Lane Johnson replacement soon here.
Yeah, well, they've been looking for a Lane Johnson replacement for years.
Yeah, but they haven't pulled the trigger. I think you're now in crunch time where you can't just look. You got to fucking do it.
Well, you can't. Well, that's the part of it. I mean, they would have done it. They would have pulled the trigger, but you're at the mercy of other teams as well, especially when you're drafting where the Eagles draft. But yes, there's going to be more of a sense of urgency. It might be if they win another one. I would lean towards Lane walking away. So it might really increase, and you might have to go. But look, you're not. It's one of those things about being spoiled. You're not getting the next Lane Johnson. I don't care who it is. So you're going to have to go about things in a different way. You want to find a good player. You want to find a player that can solidify the spot. Certainly. You're not finding the next Lane Johnson. That might be the best right tackle ever. That's not hyperbole. He's in the conversation.
Well, then what do you do? I mean, I understand what you're saying. You're not going to get another Hall of Famer, in the end of the first round, but at least most likely you're not. But
you want to
do something.
Yeah, you want a Jason Kelce, Cam Jurgens situation. That's your hope. That's your goal.
They might have paid Cam early.
To say it, I don't think there's anything wrong with Cam other than health, and I think he'll get.
Well, that's a big part of it. No.
Well, he'll get better. Already you're seeing Landon. You say, how do you get better when you're playing? Yeah, you do.
Well, what's worse, a knee surgery or a back surgery?
Depends on the back surgery. I mean, I just talked about a guy. It should. I just talked about a guy whose career was derailed by back surgery, Shaq Leonard. But there's other guys who have back surgery and they're fine. It's a very weird, and you don't know how serious it is. You don't know. But I think Cam has shown enough to say that he's probably going to be okay down the road, when he's further off the surgery. Because he's not been terrible. He's been competent. Whereas, you saw somebody like Shaq Leonard, a lot of Shaq Leonard talk. Somebody like he fell off a table
Yeah.
From
Remember when he
being.
came here? I think he was a free agent in the middle of the season, wasn't he?
Oh yeah,
Or did we trade for him?
Jody, and I still remember the discussions. Jody would say, because the Cowboys were talking, you have to get Shaq Leonard. You have to get him. I'm like, really? What do we have to? Yeah. I mean, life moves fast. I say it all the time. The same
Yeah,
thing
it
with
does.
Jair. Life moves fast in the NFL. These guys are not forever all pros. And some guys drop off the table. Shaq dropped off the table. This is what I remember about Shaq Leonard. Cleanest, neatest guy I've ever met in the NFL. His locker was impeccable.
Wow, really?
And the day he left, you didn't even know he was there. There wasn't a speck of dust in that locker.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Here's Curtis. Curtis says, Z, can you ask J-Mac if Lane is in Myles Garrett's ballpark?
Woo! That's a good question.
I mean, if you're calling him one of the best right tackles or in the conversation, you got to at least say he's in there, right?
Nick has told me in the past that the biggest mismatch athletically on the field in an NFL game is defensive line versus offensive line, because the defensive line, those guys are monster athletes, and the offensive line tend to be guys who are not quite as athletic, to say the least. Lane's a little bit different. He might be, when I say he's probably the best athlete at right tackle ever. But he ain't Myles Garrett from an athletic standpoint. So it's at his position, he's every bit as good as Myles. Myles is like otherworldly. I can't even explain to you how other players talk about Myles Garrett, including Lane Johnson, by the way.
I think Myles Garrett might be the best player I've ever seen play football. Personally, I'm a young guy. I mean, I haven't seen, some of the guys.
Well, I always talk about there's certain guys that are, I talk about this all the time. There's certain guys who their peers are in awe of them. And all NFL players are great athletes and great players to get to that position. So when they're in awe of you, you're a little bit different.
Right.
Myles is obviously in that category. I've had Saquon's in that category. And sometimes they're not as good. Like Michael Vick's in that category, and great player, but not historic at his position. Great player, but athletically, it's usually the great athletes. So it comes down to does he do his job better? And they're both probably top 5, so at their particular positions, I think.
Yeah,
ever.
Tough to compare.
And I'm talking
Good
not
question, Curtis.
Current. I'm talking ever. So it's a good question, but it won't be viewed that way because Myles is the superior athlete just because of the position he plays. And Lane's
really
playing
sucks
a
that
different position.
his whole career is in Cleveland. It really sucks. Just as a football fan, I mean, it really sucks. I'd love to see that guy in the biggest moments.
Yeah, man, he's like a predator on ice skates running through the grass.
He's crazy, man.
That was the Cam Jurgens.
That was
description
wait,
of
I got some people beating on my door, Johnny Mac. I'm gonna have to take a break here and go let them in. See what's going on down there. A couple super chats here. Park says Ringo is getting better, just more playing time. Well, John still has Ringo as the potential guy to start at corner now.
Yeah, I think he's the starter in Green Bay. And look, he's got a short leash, obviously, because he's been the starter before and he's played poorly. And then he gets benched and Adoree comes in and he gets hurt and Kelly's back in there. But he's coming off his best game. Again, it's the New York Giants, so take it for what it is. But he will start in Green Bay, and that'll probably be a big test for him. And if he holds up, I think he'll start the next week. And if he plays well, he'll stay on the field.
Yeah. All right, John, get ready to get mad at our next chatter. C-Sis says, Adoree and a pick for Mark Andrews. Get us a good, cheap blocking tight end.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I knew that one. I knew you weren't going to like that one, John.
What? I mean, what? Why would Baltimore want Adoree Jackson? And give up, by the way, Mark Andrews isn't what he once was, but he's one of the great players in franchise history. You
don't think Adoree Jackson gets the deal done for Mark Andrews, John?
I do not.
Come on, sis.
I do not. And Baltimore, by the way, also is going to win that division. So, I mean, I don't think they're looking to be sellers. Mark isn't the player he once was, but he's still a security blanket in Lamar's bag. He's been a security blanket for Lamar Jackson for a long time. He had the big drop in the playoffs, which killed them last year. But they're going to win that division, and they're going to go to the playoffs, probably not be in the position that they wanted to be in from a seed standpoint, obviously. But I truly
do you still think
believe
the Ravens are going to beat the Steelers?
I do.
Steelers.
Steelers got a big win last week, which I did not expect. So that helped us. But the Steelers haven't been playing well. If you look at,
I know they're 5-3. The Ravens are 3-5, so they're going to need a big turnaround. But
it's not that big. They've already got
Lamar Jackson back.
I mean, they were 1-5. They've already won 2 straight.
Yeah,
they're playing. JJ McCarthy next week. I think they're going to win that game. They're gonna be in it pretty quickly. So, and they probably don't want Adoree Jackson.
Is Joe Burrow coming back anytime soon?
No.
Is he done for the year?
Most likely, not officially, but
yeah,
it's hard. The only way he'd be able to come back is if they make the playoffs, which they're not going to.
Yeah, right.
And then he could potentially come back for very, very, late in the season playoffs.
Yeah.
And they're not making the playoffs.
All right, good stuff, everybody. Hit that like button. I got to go get the door. I don't know who's down there. Let me go and check this out. We'll take a quick commercial break.
Hopefully it's not the authorities, but all right, check that out.
All right, I don't think it's that. Probably some appliance guy or something. Good stuff. Hit the like button, everybody. We'll be right back. And coming up in about 6 minutes here on the show, we're going to have Les Bowen, who's going to join us here. So going to be good to hear from Les and see what he thinks of the Eagles trade deadline moves. 3 trades going into the deadline for Howie Roseman. We'll talk about it all with Les Bowen. Coming up next here on Birds 365.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. it. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Tuesday trade deadline day edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Give us a follow on X at Zander Krause and at JF McMullen. Johnny Mac, trade deadline today. It's what, 4 p.m. Eastern, right? Or 4:30 or 4?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock Eastern. What are you putting the percentage at another move, even if it's a small move?
I'm going 85%. I think it's more likely create room to get
85%, so they're going to make another move.
Yeah, but I think it's out, not in.
Right. Sending somebody out.
Yeah.
I don't know who's worth some
stuff.
stuff.
I'm talking 7th round pick. I'm talking very low level. Just get a guy out to create a roster spot. They got to create 2 roster spots. Or 1 if you don't, and 1 should be AJ Dillon, so that should be relatively, you don't need, but I don't know why you need all these corners. The trades for the trades for Michael Carter and Jair Alexander indicate you don't have a lot of confidence in the depth that's here. So why are you carrying them all on the roster if you don't have any confidence in them? Now it could just be just as simple as releasing somebody like a Dory Jackson. It could just be something as simple as that. But Howie likes to do stuff, and Jacorian Bennett's the guy I look at because I'm like, why do you need him at this point? And he's young and he's fast, and somebody will give you a 7th round pick for that guy.
You think that's the way they'd go? Somewhere like that?
That's what I'm thinking. No more splashes, though.
No, yeah, I don't think so either. We'll see what they end up doing. What moves they make. We're going to talk to Les Bowen here in a little bit. On Birds 365, looking forward to talking to Les and seeing what he takes. He thought the Eagles paid a little rich for Jaelan Phillips, I think is what he put out there, or at least just a big price. So we'll get kind of his perspective on that. But the one thing you can't knock, John, is the Eagles do go for it, man. They have an aggressive approach, and I put that out yesterday. That's the one thing you can want if you're a fan, I think. You just want your team to go for it when they have an opportunity or the window is there. And Howie certainly does that. Doesn't mean he makes every right move, but he certainly does go for it and put us in a good position to try and, go back and run it back.
Yeah, I mean that's different life cycles. That's what I said. They're a contender. So
that's the word of the week: life cycles.
They operate well. I think everybody, and it's one of Howie's pet peeves. I know for a fact. Everybody thinks things are in a vacuum in this league. Not everybody, but the vast majority of fans and even a lot of media members think everything's in a vacuum. And that's how I explain. Like for Miami, that's a smart thing to do. For the Eagles, they're in a different life cycle. They have a different end game in mind. The Miami Dolphins are trying to reboot. And, from their perspective, think about from Miami's perspective. They get that 3rd round pick. So in theory, if you do your job, and who knows who's going to be doing that job, it might not even be Champ Kelly. And it might not be Mike McDaniel. But if whomever they hire, wherever they go, they got a guy for 68 regular season games that they do their job versus a guy where you have 9 games left in a season where you're going nowhere, or 8 games, whatever they have. They're going absolutely nowhere. And guess what? If if things don't work out here and he goes to free agency, they can go sign him in free agency if they love him that much and get in it and do it that way. So from the Dolphins, it makes perfect sense. Eagles are in a different life cycle. They're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They need a edge rusher. You know, I don't care about 17 special teams games in 2027. I don't care about that if I'm the Eagles. I'm in the Les Snead mode of F them picks. Go get another one.